Alright, Stryker is up again. Good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome to this thing that I do called Thor's Entertainment. I am Thor, and this is going to be another Fatal Friday video. For the second week in a row, I'm going to be doing a finisher video specifically for the Kameo Stryker. This is actually going to be my very last video highlighting one of his finishers, because I have released videos already for the other ones. Those include his Fatality, his Grenade Brutality, and his Throw Brutality. The gameplay for all of those was recorded over a year and a half ago though. Since then, Stryker has received one new brutality for his baton attack, and that brutality is titled Tap Tap. I am pairing up Scorpion and the Kameo Stryker in order to pull that one off. This fight is going to be against a random person using Ermac and the Kameo version of Scorpion. I start by catching him briefly in the air and then I throw him immediately after that before I really get any good combos going. I do eventually start to get a good combo going, but Ermac wasted no time and used his breaker to stop it. Then Ermac goes on to get a few stray hits in before I eventually get another opportunity. I did not like how the momentum was starting to shift back into Ermac's favor, so I'll go ahead and use an armored wake up to break up those attacks. Scorpion's spear catches him, and there's no breaking the combo this time. I do one of the usual Scorpion combos for 372 damage, which is pretty refreshing after editing last week's video. In that one I had Stryker paired up with Lee May, and I only got over 300 damage in 2 combos. And that was for the entire set. Here I got one of the 300 plus damage combos 40 seconds into the first round, and that ends up being a key reason why I won that round. So the interesting thing about this video from my perspective is this was recorded this week. I've gotten used to editing videos from like over a year and a half ago, and that's because I stopped playing this game for a while. Like none of my previous videos had gameplay that came after the Chaos Reigns DLC was released. And since then, all the characters in the cameos have received a few new finishers. And after doing Stryker's video last week, I kind of wanted to wrap up all of his finishers since I only had one left. The thing is, I still needed to record it. So I picked up the game and went into the Kombat League for the first time in forever to get this gameplay recorded. That makes this the first gameplay I have released in the post-Chaos Reigns phase of Mortal Kombat 1. Not much has changed, at least not as much as I was expecting, but there are some fun new things. One of which involves Stryker actually, but I'll talk about that in a moment. So Ermac took the second round, and we have a third and final round to decide who is going to be this set's winner. Ermac does restrain me early on using his ground projectile. That goes on for a moment, and even though he could have done an uncontested combo, I guess he made a mistake of some kind and he has to settle for just getting a couple of hits against me. That is very lucky for me, and I went on to pull off another 300 plus damage combo. I ended up doing about 325 damage, but I actually messed up the very end of that combo. It really should have gone for a little bit more, but at least that mistake happened at the very end of the combo, after the majority of the damage was already dealt. That big damage gets me to a really good life lead, and I was in good position to fish for that brutality. Now Ermac does try stalling using Death's Embrace. That is a shield that will redirect damage to reduce your meter instead of your health bar. But that only extended the round a little longer. And after it ran out, it was Brutality Time.
Expected more. Brutality. Scorpion wins.
And there it was, that was the Tap Tap Brutality for the Kameo Stryker. There are a bunch of different ways to combo into that one, and I could have gone for something substantially longer, but I saw my opportunity there and I was not going to turn it down. So we now have the luxury of knowing that we already got the brutality for the remaining matches in this set. I don't really have to fish for that, I can just focus on winning. Although if the opportunity were to present itself, I would try to go for it again. Now on to match number 2 in this set. And after that first match, I have to say I noticed that Ermac was jumping around a lot. Whether that was for his attacks or to close distance against me, it just seemed like he really wanted to go into the air. So I kind of just stayed really patient in the first round of the second match, and I waited for him to go into the air before I did anything. Now if he were to do a jump-in attack against me, I was going to up-block. If he stayed at a distance, I was going to try and counter him by trying to spear him or use the engulfing flames on the ground for whenever he was just about to land. Either one of those should do damage or leave him open to combos, so those were good options. Regardless though, what I was doing seemed to be working very well, and I take the very first round with a very good life lead. Alright, round 2 is going to be a long one, so let's get back to something I said earlier. Some new things have been added to the game since I did my bulk recording forever ago. I talked about new finishers already, but characters also got new attacks. That includes the Kameo Stryker, who got a rapid-fire pistol attack that is kind of amazing. You have probably already seen me using it in the background before now in combos that I was honestly messing up on, but this round shows me landing it properly. In fact, the combo where I use it is happening right now. With Scorpion, I want to start a combo and cancel into the Devouring Flames attack on the ground. While I do that and the opponent starts to burn, I can summon Stryker to do his rapid-fire pistol attack and extend the combo. Before the opponent can recover, I can take them into the air, and whenever testing this out, I found that I could break 500 damage with this tactic, assuming I had 3 bars of meter. And I come really close to doing that in this round. I use my full Kameo gauge to do that rapid fire pistol attack, I use all 3 bars of meter, I just use all the resources. But then I mess up at the very end, so I end up settling for 486 damage instead, which is still pretty fantastic. In fact, that is going to be the new highest damaging combo that I have done in one of these videos that was not connected to a fatal blow. Despite setting a new personal best for myself though, Ermac does a pretty good job of stalling with Death's Embrace. He definitely does a lot better doing it this time when compared to his previous attempt, and Ermac ends up taking the second round with a comeback. So yet again we are down to a third and final round to determine who is going to win a match. If it's me, I win the entire set. If it's Ermac, it extends this into a third and final match. So this guy was making things quite interesting. Which Scorpion related team was going to win? Ermac and Scorpion or Scorpion and Stryker? And speaking of which, I'm just now realizing that Ermac has a red and yellow pattern to match his Kameo Scorpion. I like the very fashionable choice, and we end up winning it, and you know what? Here's a bonus finisher.
Animality. Scorpion wins.
And that is going to do it. We win the entire set 2-0. Thank you to the random Ermac user. It was fun playing against you in this set. And hey, I even got to do an Animality at the very end because I was feeling pretty good. This was the first time I had picked up the game in a very long time, and I really haven't done too many Animalities, so I felt like doing one here. Of course, this isn't going to be the very last time that we see one of these Animalities. They will come up later on as well in future videos. But yeah, I'm feeling good. It was nice to pick up the game again, that was fun. And of course this video was mostly about highlighting the finisher tap tap for the Kameo Stryker, so I'll be sure to show that one more time at the very end of the outro, that way we can all enjoy it one final time before we part ways on this fatal Friday. And yeah, there's not really too much to say here, I guess. I mean, I already kind of said most of what I wanted to say. This is my first time doing one of these new videos that isn't from just forever ago. That was kind of fun, a lot more relevant than some of the other stuff I've been doing. Granted, I still have a bunch of old videos as well I have to get through, so we're not done with those, but I did enjoy doing something a little bit newer. But without too much more to say, I'll go ahead and wrap things up here. Thank you for checking out this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to check out the other Mortal Kombat 1 finisher videos that I have. No matter what you choose to do though, thank you for watching the video all the way to this point. Take care, and hopefully I will see you next time.
Expected more. Brutality. Scorpion wins.